Hi friends, I'm Chelsea Grayson coming to you once again from the Office of the CEO. This is my series where I can help you be more successful in your career, or I can help you successfully transition to a new career. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 tips for having a successful performance review. So let's get started. So number one, this seems basic, but familiarize yourself with the process. This might be the first time that you're having a review at this company. It might be the 7th time you're having a review at this company, but the process might have changed. You can find out exactly what the process is going to be by walking into HR and asking. Trust me, this is a fair question. This is a question they get all the time, and they will tell you what the process is. And the more prepared you are, the more productive your review is going to be. So for example, if there's some sort of a self-assessment form or a self-appraisal form that they'll have you fill out during the review, see if you can get that form ahead of time. And then you can really make some thoughtful responses. You can submit it ahead of time even, and have the reviewers already incorporate your responses into how they're going to treat the evaluation process in the room. Again, this is going to make for a much more productive, efficient, and streamlined review once you get in there. So number two, be sure and review last year's evaluation if applicable. Why? Because they will have given you all sorts of points and tips and guidance in terms of, here's what we liked, but you could do a little bit better. You know, here are some ways that you can improve. Here are some things that we didn't so much like, so we'd like to see you not continue to do those things. Show them with very specific examples that you listened to those points and very specifically you acted on those points. Be prepared to come in with very specific examples. This is going to show that you're taking a very proactive perspective towards the management of your career at that company, and that you're very invested in improving yourself year to year in order to benefit the company, and that you're playing within the rules. That's the most important thing. Number three, be sure and document your achievements in a brag sheet. I know this is very awkward and uncomfortable for a lot of us. This doesn't come naturally. And you might not even remember all of the things that you've achieved over the course of the last year since the last evaluation. So you can go through your emails and refresh your recollection. You can go through your calendar. You can go through notes that you took at meetings. You can go through various reports that you made throughout the course of the year. Anything you need to do to refresh your memory and write down a very well-written brag sheet, hopefully no more than 1 page. Hand it to the reviewer when you walk in. They won't look at it at that time. You should be able to speak about the points that are set forth in that brag sheet from memory in a very conversational and natural way. The point of handing them the written document is so that they can take it away. They can look at it themselves again when they're preparing notes to talk about how the review went. And most importantly, they're going to take that document and put it in your personnel file. They're obligated to do that. And then there will always be a written record of the achievements that you successfully completed during the course of whatever that year is. So number four, and this is on a related note, on a separate piece of paper, be sure to write down your goals at that company, both your short-term goals over the course of this coming year, this next review period, but also your long-term goals at that company. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, but the importance of doing this is twofold. So one, if you consistently message to them what your goals are at this company, then they have no choice but to sort of take a part of this journey on your career path with you. Whether they realize they're doing it or it's on a subconscious level, they will become a part of your journey, and they will want to facilitate and enhance your career path for you. In addition to them taking a part in your successful career path at that company, if you write down what your long-term goals are and it's in written form for them, they'll never be able to deny that you messaged to them that that's what your goals were at this company. So for example, if they pass you up on a promotion and say, well, we didn't know that you wanted that next job, or they don't lateral you over to a different business division, well, we didn't know that you were interested in that area. They don't send you to a conference, oh, we didn't realize that you wanted to be further educated in that way. They don't include you in a particular set of meetings. Oh, we didn't think that you wanted to be in those meetings. Well, they'll never be able to give you those responses because it was all written right there in your short and long-term goals. So this is a way of really good self-preservation and really making sure that you are taking control of your career path at that company. So number five, be sure and ask your manager, who hopefully will be sitting in that review, what his or her short and long-term goals at that company are, because then you can volunteer, oh, here's the way that I can help you with those short and long-term goals and make things easier for you. Or even better, sometimes you can start a conversation with them in the room. Oh, well, how can I help you? How can I help you be more successful short and long term here? How can I be a part of your journey? Like I've said in previous episodes, people love to talk about themselves, and that's okay. And they'll come away after having had that conversation with you with a much more positive perspective on that review process, maybe without even knowing why. And the reason, of course, is that they got to talk about themselves. But most importantly, they get to understand how you will be along with them in the journey on their career paths. So number 6, always make sure and ask questions. And I'm happy to talk about various specific questions that you think might be good if you want to DM me separately. I'll give you some examples of what I think are really good, productive, positive questions to ask in an annual performance review. So for example, what stands in the way of my short and long-term goals at this company? What impact have I had on my team this year or on the company in general? What achievements of mine did you like best over the course of the last year? Or even when we had that snafu over X, Y, and Z, when I made that mistake or when the team made that mistake, how did you feel about the way that I communicated with you about that mistake or snafu? And how did you feel about the way that I self-corrected, or I helped the team recover from that particular mistake? Number 7, this is the flip side of that coin. Listen. Actively listen. We all go into meetings like this with our own agenda, and that's fine. You absolutely have to. That's the whole point of this episode. But when you get done giving them a particular point on your agenda and you're hearing what their response is, or you're hearing whatever it is that they want to talk about next, don't be thinking about the next thing that you wanted to say, right? Be sure and listen to what they're saying, because it might be something totally out of left field, something you weren't expecting, and you need to be able to respond to that. In other words, be prepared to respond to something that you weren't prepared for. And along the same lines, show that you're listening to learn. Not that just that you're listening, you're nodding your head and you're sort of just listening to pander, right? Show that you're there to really learn from them, that you really care about your career at this company. Most importantly, that you care about how your career will benefit this company, so that you're actively listening to incorporate all of their points into your next year at that company. So listen, show that you're listening to learn. So number 8, be prepared for feedback that is difficult to hear, and be prepared to hear that feedback emotionless. Leave your emotions out of the room. So if you feel the urge to become defensive once you hear criticism from your reviewer, please resist that urge to act on that defensive mode, and sort of sit back and say to them, those are some really interesting points. And what I'd like to do is digest those for a couple of days and then come back in for a follow-up meeting so that I can really address those points after I've had a chance to think about them. That's perfectly fair. There's no reason for them to say no to a follow-up meeting. And it really helps you not be defensive in the moment, which is always going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. It helps them show that you can be thoughtful about criticism. And then you can come back in and in a really level-headed way, lay out some really logical points that might be defending yourself, but it won't come across like that. These will just look like considered, well thought out responses to their criticism. Number 9, along those lines, always be sure and schedule a follow-up no matter what, right? And this is something that is going to come well before the next annual performance review. So this is something that'll come maybe a month or 2 after this annual performance review. And it's just a short meeting, and it's to the point of saying, hey, listen, you gave me these comments in my annual review. We're a couple of months into the new review period. I want to make sure that I'm incorporating them in the way that you wanted me to, that I'm applying them correctly, that there's anything you want me to do in terms of changing course or tact, please let me know now, because we've got a whole year ahead of us and I want to make sure I'm spot on in terms of how you want me to be this year. So always make sure and schedule that interim follow-up. And finally, number 10, make sure and treat this process selfishly. So make sure and just treat it as a way to do some introspection about your personal career path, right? Not just your career path at that company. You might not always work at that company. You might not always work for that particular manager. right? So take the preparation time when you're looking at all of your achievements, you're looking at maybe the things that you didn't do perfectly over the course of the year, take all of their feedback about the positive ways that you impacted the company and maybe the things that they wish that you could improve on a little bit. Take all of that as a chance to maybe polish your resume, improve your resume a little bit, change your resume, add skills to your resume. Take it as an opportunity to course correct, maybe think about, is this really the place that I want to be, or do I need to start putting my name out there for other jobs? And by the way, when you do this, this will be very apparent in a very positive way to the person who's reviewing you. So the person who's reviewing you, they're reviewing you for how you did on the job over the course of the last year, for sure. They're also reviewing you for how you're handling this meeting, this review process, whether they know it or not. That's what they're reviewing you for as well. And why that's really important is they might not always be at this company either, right? They might go to a different company, or they might go to a different division in this company. They might get a promotion and move on up in this company, right? And you want to make sure at all turns that they're thinking about you as a professional, somebody who comes into meetings prepared, somebody who's able to deal with issues from a non-emotional way, somebody who they'd be proud to bring along and recruit as a new team member, somebody that will make them shine in whatever other new position they ultimately end up having. Right? So you want to make sure they consider you as a part of their permanent team on their career path, not just the team in this particular job at this particular company. And so if you approach a review process as sort of overall proactive career management, that will definitely come through. So those are my top 10 tips in terms of how to have a successful performance review. Please like this video. Please drop any comments and let me know what else you'd like to hear about or what you thought about this episode. And please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any other episodes. And I'll see you next time from the Office of the CEO.